Imagine this moment. You sit down to finally do something important. Study, work on a project, read a book. Just be with your own thoughts. 2 minutes later, your hand is already on your phone. You did not even decide. It just happened. You check one notification, then another. Then you open an app that you did not plan to open. Now 30 minutes are gone. You come back to your task feeling a bit guilty, a bit anxious, and strangely tired for someone who has just been resting. If this feels familiar, you are not alone. We talk a lot about addiction to substances, but there is another addiction that is socially accepted, even encouraged. The addiction to distraction. Today, I want to explore how this hidden addiction works, why it is so powerful, and what you can do to slowly free yourself. Not because distraction is always bad, but because living in constant distraction slowly steals your time, your focus, and your sense of who you are. By the way, if you enjoy using English to observe your own mind and build a calmer, more intentional life, you can subscribe and keep these reflections close to your routine. Let us begin. First, what do I mean by addiction to distraction? I do not mean that you should always be productive and never relax. Distraction becomes a problem when it stops being a conscious choice and becomes an automatic escape. You are addicted to distraction when you reach for your phone without deciding, open apps before you know why, feel nervous when things are quiet, find it hard to be alone with your own mind for more than a few minutes. It is less about what you are using and more about how you are using it. The main drug is not the phone or the internet. The drug is constant mental stimulation. Now, why is this so attractive? First reason, distraction gives instant relief. Life is full of discomfort, stress, boredom, loneliness, uncertainty, sadness, responsibility. Your brain does not like discomfort. It has learned that with one small movement of your hand you can get a funny video, a message, a game, a new image, a new piece of news. For a few seconds you feel better. You laugh. You feel curious. You feel connected. You forget the heavy feeling inside your chest. The problem is that the relief is temporary and the cost is hidden. Second reason, our tools are designed to be addictive. Sometimes people think, I am just weak. Other people seem to control their phones. What is wrong with me? But remember, you are fighting against companies with thousands of engineers and psychologists whose job is to capture your attention for as long as possible. Endless scrolling, autoplay, notifications, colorful badges, vibration, personalized feeds. These are not accidents. They are deliberate features designed to keep your brain asking, what is next? Maybe the next thing will be even better. Your biology and their business model fit together perfectly. Your brain loves novelty. They give you infinite novelty. Your brain loves social approval. They give you likes and comments. Your brain hates missing out. They give you trends and stories that disappear soon. So no, you are not weak. You are simply human in an environment built to exploit very human tendencies. Third reason, distraction protects you from yourself. This is the part that is harder to admit. Sometimes you do not want distraction only because the content is fun, but because silence would show you things you would rather not feel. When there is quiet, you might notice, I am not happy in this relationship. I am afraid of my future. I feel lonely. I am not proud of how I spend my days. I miss someone. I am angry at myself. These are not pleasant thoughts. So without knowing, every time your inner world starts to speak too loudly, you reach for something to turn down the volume. The addiction to distraction is not only about pleasure, it is also about avoiding pain. Fourth reason, everyone around you is doing it. If you lived in a world where most people sat in silence, read, talked deeply, and used technology minimally, your habits would look extreme. But you live in a culture where it is normal to check your phone hundreds of times per day. You see groups of friends all looking at their screens, families eating with the television or phone, people crossing the street without looking up. So your behavior does not look like an addiction. It looks like modern life. The fish does not notice the water. You do not notice the addiction because it is shared. Now, what are the consequences of this constant distraction? First consequence, your focus becomes fragmented. Have you ever noticed that even when you manage to put your phone away, your mind still feels jumpy? You try to read a page, and after 3 lines, you want to check something. This happens because you have trained your brain to expect a reward every few seconds. Like a muscle that is used only for small movements, your attention gets used to short sprints, not long, deep focus. The result is that important work becomes more painful. Studying, planning, writing, creating anything. You are not bad at focusing. You have simply been training the opposite skill. Second consequence, your emotions stay unresolved. If every uncomfortable emotion is quickly covered with a layer of content, you never really process what you feel. The sadness stays. The fear stays. The frustration stays. You might not notice it clearly, but it turns into constant anxiety, random irritability, emotional numbness. It is like always sweeping dust under the carpet. The room looks clean for a while, until one day you trip over the pile. Third consequence, you lose touch with what you truly enjoy. When you are constantly consuming fast, intense stimulation, simpler pleasures start to feel boring. Sitting with a friend and talking slowly, going for a quiet walk, reading a book without pictures, cooking in silence, working deeply on one project. These activities have a slower flavor of satisfaction. But if your brain is used to constant fireworks, they might feel flat at first. So you think you do not like them, when in reality, your nervous system is too overstimulated to taste them. Fourth consequence, your sense of self becomes blurry. In distraction mode, you are always consuming other people's thoughts, opinions, lives. Little by little, you lose contact with what you actually think, what you actually want, what your own voice sounds like. You become a collage of inputs. You may feel busy, but when someone asks, "What do you really want for your life?" you are not sure. This creates a deep feeling of emptiness. Now, if you see yourself in this, there is no need for shame. Shame will just make you want more distraction. What you need is clarity and small experiments. Let us talk about how to slowly break the addiction to distraction. Step 1. See your patterns without lying to yourself. For a few days, play the role of scientist in your own life. Notice, when do I reach for my phone the most? Morning, before sleep, during work, when I feel a specific emotion. What apps swallow my time? Social media, news, videos, games, chats. What emotions usually come right before I escape? Boredom, stress, loneliness, uncertainty. You do not need a special app for this. You can simply write, "Now I am opening my phone to avoid this feeling." Just this awareness already creates a small distance between you and the habit. Step 2. Create friction. Addiction loves convenience. The easier it is to access the distraction, the more you will do it. So you do not need heroic willpower. You need a little bit more friction. For example, keep your phone in another room while you work or study. Disable non-essential notifications. Turn your screen to black and white to make it less exciting. Remove the most addictive apps from your home screen. Log out so that entering requires one extra step. None of these will magically solve everything, but they create small moments in which you have to decide, do I really want to do this right now? Instead of acting automatically. Step 3. Replace. Do not only remove. If you just try to stop using your phone, you will create a vacuum, and your brain hates vacuum. So choose in advance what you will do with the time and space you are freeing. For example, when I feel the urge to scroll, I will drink a glass of water, stand up and stretch, write one sentence in a notebook, look out the window and name 5 things I see, read 2 pages of a book. These small alternative actions break the pattern without leaving you empty-handed. Step 4. Practice micro moments of boredom. Boredom is not dangerous. It is a doorway. When you do not immediately escape boredom, your mind starts to wander, imagine, connect ideas, remember things, notice details. This is where creativity often begins. So choose tiny situations where you will allow boredom. In the elevator, waiting in line, on the toilet, in the car when you are not driving. Keep your phone away on purpose. At first, you will feel an itch. This itch is your addiction screaming. If you stay with it for a few minutes, the feeling will rise, then fall. You will discover that you can survive without constant input. Step 5. Schedule your distractions. This sounds strange, but if you know you will never have fun again, your brain will resist. Instead of saying, "I will never use social media," say, "I will use it intentionally at these specific times." For example, 30 minutes after lunch, 20 minutes after work, 1 hour on the weekend. During those times, you can enjoy without guilt. Outside those times, you treat distraction as something you are training to use less. Step 6. Heal the emotions underneath. Remember, distraction is often a way to avoid feeling. So as you reduce it, old emotions may come up. You might feel sad, empty, angry, afraid. This is not a sign that something is wrong. It is a sign that something is finally visible. You can support yourself by writing about what you feel, talking to a trusted friend, seeking therapy if you have the chance, moving your body to help process the tension. The more you build capacity to stay with your emotions, the less you will need distraction as anesthesia. Step 7. Rebuild your ability to enjoy deep focus. The opposite of distraction is not constant productivity. It is presence. Presence with your work. Presence with a person. Presence with yourself. To retrain your focus, start small. Choose one task and set a short timer. 10 minutes. 15 minutes. During that time, you do only that task. When your mind wants to check something, you gently say, "Later, now we are here." When the timer ends, you rest. Over time, you can increase the duration. Your brain will slowly remember how to stay with one thing, and something beautiful happens. Deep focus starts to feel good again. You enter a state where time passes differently. You feel absorbed. You feel capable. This feeling is much richer than the dopamine hit of a new notification. To close, let us be honest. You probably will not become a perfect minimalist monk who never gets distracted. And that is not the goal. The goal is to stop living on autopilot, constantly escaping your own life. You can live in a modern world with technology and still protect your attention, your time, your inner world. Think of distraction like sugar. A little, consciously taken, can be pleasant. All day, every day will make you sick. Your attention is one of the most precious things you own. Where it goes, your life goes. So if you notice that you have been giving it away to every bright object on your screen, it is not too late to begin a gentle rebellion. One notification turned off. 1 hour with your phone in another room. One walk without headphones. One conversation where you really listen. One task done with full attention. These are small acts from the outside. But inside, they are how you begin to recover from the hidden addiction to distraction and slowly become the one who is actually living your life, not just watching it through a glowing rectangle. Thanks for watching. See you next time.